Hello, friends. So, as I promised, this week we're talking about the other partner on Life with Mona. And to help me discuss this, I have with me Maurice Matheka. Maurice is a sexologist. He specializes in helping couples, particularly, or even individuals, come to terms with mostly their relationships and their sexology,
understanding relationship and sexual psychology.
Tell us a little bit more about that before we jump into the topic. Exactly what is a sexologist?
A sexologist is somebody who basically deals with people's relationships, and especially I concentrate a lot on the psychology behind Kenyan sexology.
Okay.
How people think about one another, how they relate.
And this is beyond just sex, isn't it? This is like a human being.
It's about how they relate, number one.
Okay.
Because if you don't relate well, then your sex life will dip.
Okay.
So mine, number one, is to profile couples and find out what their true problem is.
Okay.
Which sometimes is just about communication.
Okay. So basically, that by the time somebody shows up at your doorstep, there's something wrong.
Yes, there is something wrong.
Okay. It
Probably not what they think, but after I evaluate, then I'll find something wrong.
Let's start with, what is your definition of a healthy relationship? Because I think that's where a lot of us get caught up, right?
Yes.
When we determine right and wrong in a relationship, we need to know, first of all, what is a healthy relationship?
Well, a lot of people will probably tell you that a healthy relationship is where you have a conducive relationship, meaning communication is right, you're compatible. But the truth of the matter is, from my experience, I found that a lot of couples, not just in Kenya, but around the world, have some incompatibility. Hence why they can never have a healthy relationship. Because as they age together, their interests start to differ.
Okay.
So they start to drive in different paths. Those different paths and different ways of thinking, at some point, will kind of collapse their relationship bond.
The flow, yeah.
So having a healthy relationship, I think we should also review the word healthy, because I kind of relate that to more health, but it's better to have a productive relationship.
Oh, I like that.
A productive
definition.
relationship is where you know what your boundaries are, you know your common interests, and you know how to maintain them.
Okay, I'm going to take you back to something you said. You talked about people are not compatible. Some people are not compatible.
Yes.
And therefore, the older they get or the more they walk down this marriage, they realize that the rift is becoming bigger and bigger. So how do you know whether or not you're compatible to somebody?
But the problem is, once we merge and we get married, one of us at some point will remove the mask.
Okay.
And we will show our true nature.
Yeah.
And that is when now the bond starts to drift.
Yeah.
That's when you realize, oh my God, I never really knew this person. So I think one of the things that we need to stop doing is we need to stop telling people that they need to behave in a certain way,
exactly.
so that they can get married.
Yeah.
Because what they're doing is they just go into a format of acting.
Yeah.
And then they act for so long. And the thing is, women will enter a marriage looking for some long-term relationship.
Okay. Yeah.
Not that men don't, but men are very easy at looking at options.
What do you mean?
Something is not working.
Expound that for me. Looking at options.
Looking at options, if something's not working for me, I'm not really going to stress over it. I'm not going to take a lot of chocolate like a woman.
Yeah.
I'm just going to look for somebody else to stimulate me. It's as simple as that.
Okay.
Whereas women are driven to
try and make it work.
Yes, that if it doesn't work, I'm the home builder, I'm the failure, yet the man is part of the ingredient why it's failing. My feeling is, by the time a man is in a marriage and he feels the communication is lacking, he will try, but he may not necessarily try as hard as a woman.
Okay.
When he feels his manhood, especially, is being dented by the fact that he's trying and things are not working, he looks for different stimulus.
Let's zero in.
Yes.
And we've talked before with you about this topic, and you have said 85% of married people are
in my experience.
In your experience?
Yes.
85% of men in your experience are men and women are in relationships outside of their marriage.
Yes.
And you've also just said that most people who enter a marriage do not necessarily, I mean, you're not saying I do so that you're thinking you're going to go and cheat with somebody.
Yes.
But this is happening.
Yes.
And again, I just want to really zero in and say, I'm not talking about the, let me take Slay Queen 1 to Mombasa. You know, this is like we're in a relationship.
It starts more or less like a fling, but now it's been a year, it's been 2 years.
Exactly.
It's like I'm managing two women, but one is still...
Exactly. So, number one, break down for me why that happens.
people get to a point where they feel obligated to move forward. Hence why I was saying women will ask questions like, who are we, what are we, where are we going? So now there's an obligational nature in terms of behavior. Whereas before, we were just having fun and there was less tension in the relationship. So once that happens, you even find the psychology of the relationship changes. Where now I go from somebody who would lust for you to somebody who's now thinking, it's now my job to take care of her. So, and with that comes the diminishing of fun element towards you. Hence why at some point, I'll look elsewhere for that mental stimulus. Yes.
So you, an honorable man, or me, an honorable woman,
right,
who we love and respect each other as husband and wife,
yes,
you find yourself
right,
in a relationship with somebody else. How do you handle that? What would you tell somebody that is walking through that journey right now? Because that journey also started in the same way as a fling.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
Yes.
And why it matured is the question you're asking.
Yes.
It probably matured because at some point I may be delusional enough to think that I have more connection with the other person, but that's because they've told me a story that I can relate to.
Yeah.
You know, two people meet and I tell them of how horrid things are at home, and they tell me about an experience they had, and then we both start telling each other how amazing human beings can be to one another, and somehow that gives us a connection. And at some point, you as the woman who's already heard from me what goes on in the house, you refrain from behaving that way. So I start looking at you as the better option. Yet really you're not. It's me feeding you what I really like. Whereas I never had that chapter with my now wife. She was just a girlfriend. We had fun. At some point I felt obligated to marry her, but I never quite told her the things
truth.
I don't like coming out of a woman's mouth. I've always kept it to myself, but I've shared with you because you've shared with me. So now we have a connection.
I'm going to kind of counter that because when we started this conversation, you said something. You said most people jump into a relationship, they're not compatible, right? Because they're following duty and all these things. Now, when you're with somebody else to whom you do not have that duty, and that is probably why you'd be more honest to me than you would to, say, a wife, right? Because there's no duty here. This thing can fail anytime and it's okay for it to fail anytime, correct? So you'll be honest. You'll tell me the truth. You'll tell me the things that you can't say at home. Isn't that compatibility?
That you and I have compatibility?
Yes.
No, you and I have a friendship. I have freedom. In the house, I don't have freedom. In the house, I'll say something and she'll call my mother or her mother.
Yes.
You don't need to call yours. Because yours will ask, why are you calling me? Who is he to
you? Can't say anything. Exactly.
But I can say anything to you because of the freedom. So now we need to go back to re-educating people about marriage. If you ask somebody about marriage, even those who are not married, they keep saying, we hear marriage is very hard.
Yes.
Marriage is difficult.
Yes.
So already...
but why are we getting into it then?
So already they have a negative psychology towards marriage.
You have to work hard.
So when they enter marriage, they sit down and go like, okay, here it comes. It's going to be really hard. I don't know what to do. So they start panicking and they sabotage their own relationships. Because they think marriage needs to go a certain way.
You've just said the reason why, for instance, if we were in an extramarital relationship, you'd be able to talk to me is because we are friends.
Yes.
Why is that missing from an actual marriage?
Because a lot of marriages have a regimental way of communication. There's a hierarchy. I'm your husband, you're my wife, you're supposed to be submissive, so you act in a certain way. So you and I really never, even the way we talk, it's very, we may say it's informal, but you find our structure is very formal. How do we go around that? I mean, these are two people who liked each other in the first place. And when we liked each other, we used to talk. Right? So how do we go about making sure that we maintain that open conversation where you can actually tell me what you think? See, the problem is the minute you and I signed on that dotted line, you put on a mask and so did I. Because society has groomed us to think that there's a certain behavior that you should pursue when you're in a marriage. So it's very hard now to remove that mask unless I remove it. So it's when I'm with somebody else, I don't have that mask on. So they see the real me. I'm able to be emotional, whereas with you, I can't. I am the man. I am the force of this house. So a few things. I can't share my troubles with you
Yeah.
Because I may have shared your troubles with you. And one day you told me, why are you telling me? You're the man of this house. Whereas she understands that I'm still human.
Yeah.
She'll tell me things like, don't worry, it will be better. Have you tried this approach?
Yeah.
So she's tapping into my emotional side. I'm still human. If a man only feels at some point that his true primary function in that relationship is provision, whereas the other person tells you, you know what, this weekend I'm going to take you out for dinner.
Yeah.
And I think, oh my God, my wife's never taken me out for dinner. Who do you think I'll prefer being with?
Okay. So if you're breaking down the differences,
Yes.
Let's start with the positive differences.
Yes.
In what this man is experiencing in his home,
Right.
and in what he's experiencing away.
Yes.
What are the differences? Let's break them down. Like number one, you said the friendship.
Friendship is important.
Yeah. That exists with the other partner.
Yes. Both of them are women.
Yes.
But my wife really insults me to a point where she really bruises my ego.
see.
She's a woman. She gets really pissed off.
Yeah.
But she doesn't bruise my ego.
Yeah. What does she do different?
Her tone with me
Okay.
is different. She tells me, by the way, I'm not happy with you.
Yeah.
But in that scolding, she still reminds me that I'm a man. She'll still call me babe.
Okay.
Whereas in the house, where we're jinga type, idiot.
What time is
stupid.
this? You're coming
What time
home?
is
What do
this?
you think
you're a
I'm
man.
what?
Oh. Whereas the other one says, you know what? I think today, because you've misbehaved, you're going to sleep on the sofa. See you in the morning. You see, very positive. She's training me to go like, you know what? If you're, it's like a dog. If you tell a dog to, if you tell a dog to jump and it jumps, and you give it a sweet. So the other woman is training me.
But she's
to
giving you
also
sweet.
make sure
This one is just beating you.
Yeah, this one is just beating
kicking
me.
you out of the house.
Exactly. There's no sweet at all.
Yeah.
So I'd rather go to the other house
Yeah.
where I can sleep on the couch.
But
I can
in
sleep
the morning-
with a smile because I'm telling now I'll never do what I did before, so I can sleep in the main bed.
Okay.
Here I've been told I can sleep in the couch for the rest of the year.
Okay. Or indefinitely.
Yes.
Okay. So the first one is friendship.
Yes.
Okay. And then you've also touched now on communication.
Yes.
How we pass things across.
Exactly.
Right. To our partners.
I mean, at the end of the day, let's put it this way. Today, one thing I've noticed, and this is not about bashing women, but if we don't discuss the things that women do, I find that women are very comfortable when I highlight the wrong things about men.
Yes.
And that list is very long.
Yes.
But it's important for women to hear what they do wrong.
Yes. I
In
agree
the
with you.
house,
I
there
agree with
has
you.
to be a man and there has to be a woman.
Okay.
Today, I find a lot of women are very
men.
masculine.
That's true.
You
We
can't
come
have
from a
two-
masculine.
Yes, but you can't
Yes.
have two men in the house.
Yeah. There's a lady who,
Yes.
it's interesting what you've just said. She's an expert, relationship expert. She's called Rory Ray.
Right.
And she keeps on bringing up this masculine energy. She says there's masculine energy and there's feminine energy in
Yes.
all relationships.
Yes.
And she keeps saying, if you are a woman, which is what we are taught these days, to be strong
Yes.
and, to know what you want and to go and get it. So she's like, women will almost instinctively lean forward. And the minute you lean forward in your relationship, what will a man do? He'll lean back.
Yes, and then you put a wall around
and
himself.
then you put a wall around himself.
Exactly.
Yeah, so
And
he's talking about...
putting down that wall
Yeah.
becomes quite a task.
Okay.
And it's not about, I find it strange when women are told you should know your place in a relationship. Most women take that negatively.
Yes.
That's you being told you have no idea what kind of strength you have as a woman being female.
see.
Your feminine side
Yeah.
can seduce me. It can lure me to do things I
Far
would not
more.
ordinarily do.
Yeah, far more than
Yes.
being masculine
Yes,
towards you.
exactly.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
have power. Most men will ask for a visa. When men say, I have to ask for a visa,
Yeah.
this is a grown man.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
in charge of so many people, but he has to go home and ask for a visa. If that's not power, then I have no idea what you think power is. That's power. But you need to use your feminine side.
To get it.
Exactly.
Okay.
If you use let's put it this way. If you've ever seen two men at loggerheads, no one bows
Nobody's
down.
giving way.
So the minute you come with your enforced masculinity,
Yes.
then
I will
your
treat you like a man.
Exactly. And at some point, your
Yeah.
female attributes disappear.
Vanish.
And that starts to affect our sex life.
Okay.
And because men are projected towards things that induce some sexuality, which are women, then it's easy for me at some point
To go to
start
somebody who is
having-
providing that
Yes,
femininity.
exactly.
So, how, okay, recapping again.
Yes.
There is friendship,
Uh-huh.
there's communication,
Yes.
and now we're talking about femininity. And these are all things that a man will almost naturally get from this other woman, whether it's a genuine woman or it's a woman who knows how to play the game.
Yes.
So expound for me on when you talk about masculine energy and feminine energy. I think masculine energy is very clear for everybody because it's what we all know.
Yes.
Now explain for me, to a modern woman,
Yeah.
how do you project your femininity? Give me some examples.
Femininity is the fact that when we're together, you project, even when we're having a discussion, you still know how to pamper my ego.
Okay. So why can't the wife learn these things? Is it that she's just not told them? Is this the conversation that you
No,
keep?
I think the funny thing is, the same wife that we're talking about, who in some degree we're describing as the most horrible woman ever, what happens is, because she's in that marriage, she feels it's an obligation of this man to do stuff.
I see.
Why would I have to coax him to do something that
he should be doing anyway?
Whereas, if you threw her in a relationship where she was dating another married man, she would quickly learn how to get away because she knows there is a primary woman.
Okay.
So now she needs to, our incentive is, how can I be better?
Okay.
When she's in her own relationship, she never thinks of how to be better.
Yeah.
She demands
it's my right.
Exactly.
Okay.
So that approach is wrong.